Okay, I did not get to everything on my January TBR in the month of January. In fact, I didn't read very many books at all, especially if you compare it to the past couple of Januaries. However, I did read some stuff, so let's talk about that. Welcome to my January 2022 wrap up. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where I post reviews of most of the things that I read. I think I've only posted a review of one of these books so far, so maybe I need to stop saying that. I've also not really been posting an awful lot on Instagram, so yeah, come and follow me on there and maybe that'll encourage me to start posting again. It's been a busy year so far, a very busy year so far. So I read 5 books in the month of January, which really isn't bad considering the fact that means basically a book a week, so 31 days in January. It's fair enough. So I got to some of the things on my TBR, some of them. I read The Start of Something by Miranda Dickinson, which comes out in the UK, or came out in the UK on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of February. Oh my goodness. This one came out in the UK on the 3rd of February. It's amazing. It's dual narrative. It's got so much heart and soul to it. And it is so full of hope and love. And then this like slow burn romance thing happens. And oh my goodness, it was just everything you come to love and expect from Miranda Dickinson. If you are already a fan of Miranda Dickinson's books, you will definitely love this one. If this is your first Miranda Dickinson book, you are in for such a treat, and I feel sure that you will delve into her entire back catalogue after reading this one. It will of course be linked in the description box below, but this is adult romance fiction. It was just fantastic. I'm so excited that I made time to read this, and I'm just so excited that it was everything I expected it to be and more. It was just so wonderful. And as I say, it's just come out in the UK. It's fantastic. It's linked in the description box below. And I also have a full written review on my blog and my Goodreads, so you can go and read my review of that one on there. And that is the only one that I didn't do on audiobook this month. Normally I go through ebooks, physical books and audiobooks, but I just was like, just going to jump in with this first one. Read this one on ebook. Everything else is audiobook, because the only other time I had to read, apart from making time to read Miranda Dickinson, the only other time I had to read was on my commute to and from work. So we have books that I listen to on my commute to and from work. First of all, I listened to The Girl Who Saved Christmas, which is the follow-up to A Boy Called Christmas, which I have a book versus movie of by Haig, and I will link that up above. But I listened to the follow-up of this one, and it was just everything you expected it to be. I listened to this one, I think I started it in December and finished listening to it in January on my commute / on my unpacking-ish here. And it was just, fun, middle grade follow-up. It had some throwbacks to the first book, and so I definitely want to read the novella that follows up, A Mouse Called Mika. I have that one on audio as well, so I'm excited to read that one. Then a late December release here, I listened to Here's to Us by Becky, Albertalli and Silvera. This one was, I just kind of felt like nothing special. I really loved What If It's Us, and I really loved these two writers writing together. And maybe my sort of love of that initial book was just a novelty factor. I don't know, it could have been, because this one was just like, it was fine, but it wasn't very memorable. Like, I can't tell you an awful lot about what Arthur and Ben got up to. I think it's Ben. Yeah, Benjamin. Got up to. We're back in New York with them. This one is YA romance. It is a follow-up to What If It's Us. You definitely have to have read that one first, because it does just kind of jump back in. And I was really excited for reading it. It was an anticipated book for me, and I was excited to put it on my January TBR. I bought the audiobook. I listened to it. it was just okay. It was like nothing memorable, nothing special. And so I can't in good conscience go, oh yeah, I really, really recommend this one, because I can't remember an awful lot about it. And so I'm highly, highly recommending the last one that I talked about, but not quite as much that one. And then a reread for me. I love the fact that, you know, I've got all these goals normally, haven't this year, around like rereads and non-fiction and what have you. And I'm like, well, this month I read an adult fiction, a young adult fiction, a middle grade fiction, and I'm about to tell you about a reread and a non-fiction. It's like the breadth of everything this month. I'm quite proud of the fact that I'm quite proud of the fact that I read anything this month. I'm proud of the fact that I did anything aside from focus on my new job, honestly. You know. So reread for me, Rachel's Holiday by Marian. The first time I read this one, I read the big chunky paperback, and so listening to it on audio was a bit of a different experience. I'm in a different place in my life, and so it was always going to be a very different experience. Rachel's in a different place in her life, because we were reading this one ready for Again Rachel, which comes out literally 2 weeks here in the UK. I have the audiobook pre-ordered. I'm very excited about that hitting my phone during half-term week as well. It's like we planned it. Very excited. But yeah, it was really, I feel like I perceived Rachel differently on the reread. And it could be because it was a reread and I already had met her. It could be because I was doing it on audio and not on paperback. Or it could be because, yeah, I'm in a different place in my life. I'm now in my 30s. I feel like I read this one when I was in my teens. And so it was always going to be a bit different. But it was a really interesting reread and I really enjoyed it. But I feel like when I read it the first time, I had a lot of sympathy for Rachel and I was kind of like, oh, you know, she's going through such a bad time. And then rereading it, I'm like, yeah, she's where she needs to be and she's behaving really childishly and she needs to learn her lesson. It's just like, wow, okay. And yeah, I kind of felt a little bit differently about some of the side characters as well. So this was a really good reading experience, very long. And I kind of read mostly on my commute, but then my commute ended for a week to 10 days, and so I ended up sort of listening to it here whilst doing other things, and I quite liked being able to just sit and be and listen to it as well. And I've talked long enough, so long that the screen's gone dark. And then the non-fiction that I read, that I listened to, that I really loved but made me want to watch more TV, you'll see why in a moment. There we go. This one is Welcome to Dunder, Mifflin, the ultimate oral history of The Office as told by the actors, writers, producers, directors and crews. And this is from Brian Baumgartner and Ben Silverman. Ben Silverman was one of the major producers on the show. Brian Baumgartner obviously played Kevin on the show. But yeah, this one really, really just made me want to sit and watch The Office when I wasn't reading or working. That half-hour window that you have. So it really, really made me want to watch that. I have listened to Office Ladies podcast. I have not listened to Brian's podcast. And Office Ladies are obviously coming out with a book this year. This one came out last year. I'm very excited to read that one. But I think that I definitely learned different things from this one than I did from the Office Ladies podcast. And so I'm hoping that I will learn different things from their book when it comes out. I thought this was well put together. However, doing the audio, you have voice actors reading for the main people. So there's not many people who read themselves in the book apart from Brian Baumgartner. And so you've got like such and such reading for Angela Kinsey and such reading for Jenna Fisher and such reading for John Krasinski. And those people are possibly people you've heard in other audiobooks. So we got a little bit confusing at times. And they wouldn't always say, this is Angela speaking now and this is Jenna speaking now. And so you wouldn't always necessarily remember what each person's voice sounded like. So that was my only criticism of the audio itself. So maybe this one would be one to do in sort of ebook or paperback or hardback, just because it got a little bit confusing in that sense. And yet there were a couple of people that did read their own stuff too. But again, it's like a collection of the different podcasts put together. And so in that sense, you might have been better listening to the podcast because that had the actual real people in it, I think. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well structured in the sense that it was non-chronological, but it was well organised. But in terms of the structure of having people reading for other people, I wasn't a massive fan of that and even found it a little bit confusing. But I thought it was funny, I thought it was informative, and it definitely did a good job of making me want to rewatch more episodes of The Office. I've rewatched it in its entirety. I've definitely on my 4th rewatch now. However, there are certain episodes that I've rewatched more than others, and I just picked a random episode to watch the other day whilst listening to this, not at the same time, but like come home from work, having dinner, let's put on a random episode. I just kind of clicked on Netflix and clicked on like season 4 and just went with it. And I'm in the middle of a rewatch with Mum right now. So it's like, I could probably sit and rewatch that, just kind of like swing between rewatching that and Parks and just get the whole Mike Schur experience, the whole, you know, it would be a good time because they do take place in the same universe. It's very exciting. Anyway, so I read 5 books. I read 1 adult fiction, 1 YA fiction, 1 middle grade fiction, 1 reread of an adult fiction, and 1 non-fiction. I read 1 ebook and 4 audiobooks. I cannot see February being any different, but yes, please do let me know in comments what your January reading was like. Did you have any specific goals to read? Like, so you wanted to read at least 1 non-fiction, or you wanted to read not just adult fiction, or you wanted to read more crime or read 1 specific genre? And will you be reading romance for February? Let me know. I will be back with more bookish content for you very soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will definitely see you at the weekend for another movie review, so make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out. Thanks so much for watching.